So you decided you want to have a destination wedding and you want to get the reality of the resorts, so you've decided to do a site inspection. Hi, I'm Jack with DestinationWeddingGeese.com, and I'm here to give you some tips on how to do a site inspection. Let me first say that the majority of people don't do site inspections. We strongly suggest that you do. You schedule some time, you go down to see a couple of resorts, so it helps you pick. If you're not going to do a site inspection, I strongly suggest you find someone like us at Destination Wedding Geese, a travel professional that has years of planning destination weddings, that has traveled to the resorts and can give you the reality of what the resort is like and what to expect. Okay, so here are some of my top tips on things you should do if you're going to do a site inspection. I know this might sound crazy, but you want to make a list of resorts that you want to see during your trip. Don't just go to see one resort. You may have one that's the real one you want, but I would see one or two others while you're down there. See 3 to 5 resorts in a 3 to 5 day period. The first thing you want to do is actually call or email the resorts to schedule it. You cannot just show up. If you're working with a travel planner, let them do that. That's something we will do for you, is call our contacts at the resort, make sure they're there to host you, take you around and show you the resort, and provide you a great day and a great experience at each resort. Now, once you have your list and you're contacting the resorts or have your travel professional contact the resort, what you should do is ask them if they have any special rates for you in staying there. What we've been able to do is work with many of the resorts and say, look, we're going to have a client come, they want to stay with you for their 3 or 4 days. Can you give them a special rate? Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. And either way, we ask them, if they choose to host their wedding with you, will you credit back what they've paid for their stay or a portion of it, or give them any perk? Here are some hints on things you want to do when you're at the resorts, because the planners are going to have their own tour they want to give you. And sometimes what you want to see and what they want you to see are going to be two different things. So when we host site inspections and we take our clients down, here are some of the things that we try to point out to clients. Make a list of the wedding venues the resort has that you're thinking of prior to getting there. So when you go, ask them to show you the venues you like and let them show you additional venues they may have that are not in their brochure or they've not told you about. Now, once you're at the venue, take a look at the venue and then look around. As an example, sometimes people say, well, I'm very interested in the beach, but it's very important that you look around what's on the beach. You may be standing on the beach and you may have 16 people standing around you, or you may have people behind you. So I think it's very important that you look at the venues and look at what the exposure and who else is looking at the venue, so that you've picked a venue that's what you want and what you like around that. It's something you just won't see in a brochure or if you just show up at the resort for the first time. And again, ask your travel professional that if you're interested in having your wedding on the beach in the afternoon, am I going to be right next to the volleyball court? Or where is that venue? Is it off in a private section of the beach? Or am I going to have all this noise from everybody down the beach while I'm trying to get married? One of the more popular areas is a garden or a fountain area. They're great. They're very pretty. They look great in pictures. But a lot of the times the fountain is in the middle of the resort, right behind the lobby. So everybody is walking right past the garden and the fountain, so that you may be right in the middle and people are looking down from their balconies to see you get married. So again, it's something I always tell people, that in paper you're seeing it in one dimension, but once you're there, it's in 3 dimension. So when you're doing the site inspection, look at where the fountain is and kind of do a 360 and spin around and say, okay, I like this space. I see the traffic area. The people aren't walking from the lobby to get to the rooms. There's not a restaurant 50 feet off to the side that's serving coffee and people are going to be congregating there. But you want to get as private as possible. So as some people have said to us, I don't want my wedding on YouTube before I put it on YouTube. Now, one of the other things you want to ask them to see is Plan B. So Plan B is, what happens if it rains? What if there's a thunderstorm? What if it's too windy? Every resort should have a Plan B space, but it's very important you see it. Some of the resorts do have a Plan B space. What they will do is convert their lobby into your wedding. That's not probably what you want. Now, food is important. Everybody's a foodie now, so you want to make sure you see the food. A lot of times the planners and whoever's hosting you in your tour is going to attempt to wine and dine you. They'll offer you lobster and steak and champagne for lunch. That's really nice. It's a good sales call. But that's not what you and your guests are going to have when you're staying at the resort. I always suggest that you ask them either to have, if they're having lunch with you or they're taking you around, go around and look at the buffet. A buffet at a resort is a good indication of what the food around the resort is. But you want to take a look at what they're doing. Watch during the buffet. Are they changing the dishes on a frequent basis? Does everything look clean? Does the food look attractive? Do they have an interactive station? So it's really a good thing there. The next thing you want to do is, as you're walking around the resort, look at all the restaurants. And when you're at one of the restaurants, which probably aren't open, ask them if they can allow you to see a menu, because now you can see what these restaurants serve. When you're looking at the menu, something very important, it really depends on the resort you're at, is make sure that there are no additional costs on the menu. There are some all-inclusive resorts that may have steak on the menu with an asterisk. What the asterisk is saying is not included as part of the all-inclusive. So again, when you work with a travel professional, they'll be able to tell you with the resorts they're helping you choose whether or not these things will be included. So you want to take a look at the restaurants, the menus, and maybe have some things to eat as you walk around the resorts. Another thing is drinks. When you first get into the resort, ask them to show you their feature or their prime bar. Look at the brands at the bar. Just walk around the bar, take a look at the brands of vodka, the brands of gin. Make sure these are brands that are brands you know and you like. Next, as you walk around the resort, take a look at the other bars that may be open and see what they're serving there, because sometimes some of the resorts will serve all the premium brands at the one bar, but you may go to a piano bar and there's brands you don't know. Also, the next thing to do is look at the swim up pool bar, or the barbecue out by the pool, and see what the brands are there, because some of the resorts, again, will start serving you rum out of a squeeze bottle. So you want to make sure that you're getting the same quality all around the resort. Talking about drinking, let's say you're down by the beach. You want to look at how you're getting your drinks. Do you actually have to get up from the beach or the pool and get your own drinks and stand in line like it's college again? Or do you sit there and they have beach butlers that are coming around asking you what you'd like to drink and taking your order? When we're talking about the pool, one of the things you want to look at is towels. Now this may sound silly to you, but some resorts use a towel card system. It is a pain. We really don't like towel cards because you have to give a card to get a card. And in some resorts, depending upon the room you're staying in, you may get an unlimited towel card, and some you get one. So you want to see how the towel system works. Most of the resorts that we as destination wedding guides will suggest for your destination wedding are going to be resorts that have towels unlimited. If you want 3 towels, take 3 towels. But there are other resorts that don't do that, and you would never know that until you get there. And I can tell you, it is very annoying if you want to put a towel behind your head and over your legs so you don't get sunburned and use one. The next thing you want to do is take a look at the rooms. A lot of the resorts are going to show you the master suites, the honeymoon suites. What you want to do is ask them, may I see the least expensive room, a middle room, and sure, I'll see a suite. The likelihood is the majority of your guests are going to stay in, an average room. It may be a garden view, or it may be an ocean view. Most of them are not going to be spending the money on a honeymoon suite. So you want to see the room, you want to see if there's a mini bar. You want to see what the view is, even if it's an inexpensive room. Is it looking at a parking lot, or is it looking at a garden? You want to look at the towels. You want to make sure that the room doesn't smell musty. Again, you have to look out for you as well as your guests, so you want the experience the guest has in the room to be a very good experience. Does it include room service? Are there robes? You want this experience to be a memorable experience for your guests. So take a nice look at the room and see what it has. As you're walking around the resort, take a look at the staff. Do they seem happy? If you're in Mexico or the Dominican, are the staff saying, hola, buenos dias? They just seem happy? Or do you just have people that no matter where you go, they're just staring down at the ground? Look at the staff in the restaurants. Are they clearing dishes, or do the dishes at the buffet just pile up high? Because the staff will make the experience for you or your guests good or bad. Look for some guests that are there and just walk up to them and say, hey, I'm thinking of hosting my destination wedding here. How long have you been here? What are your thoughts on the resort, and what can you tell me? It is much better doing that than trying to read TripAdvisor and figuring out whether it's a real review or a review that the resort paid someone to write. So ask a couple guests. I've never had a guest come to me after asking them to speak to me and say, oh no, I'm not talking to you. A lot of times you almost have to say, excuse me, I've got to go, because they're going to tell you about the good and the bad and how they're enjoying it. And if you're only there for an hour, it's really good to get someone's perspective, or a couple people's perspective that may have been there for 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Now my last hint would be, make sure wherever you go in your site inspections to take video. Take pictures, because to be honest with you, at the end of the day, if you've seen 2 resorts a day or 3, it's all going to run together. So take a picture, maybe you leave audio with it, or somehow caption it on your iPhone, but you really want to then come back to your room at night, because you're going to forget about, oh, I saw this venue I liked, but I didn't like that restaurant, or I thought that was a really cool pool, maybe we could do a party there. So take pictures, take video, review it, so it helps you narrow the list. We've been helping people plan destination weddings for over 20 years. So I think we're pretty good if we have a conversation with a bride, a groom, a family, 1 or 2 times. We really understand what you're looking for in a host resort. We can help you put 2 or 3 or 4 resorts together on a list, and then look at the pros and cons of that resort, as well as the wedding packages, to help you pick a resort. I think it's very important that if you're going to have the site inspection, it's great to experience it. But again, if you are working with a planner, a travel professional that focuses on destination weddings and visits these resorts on a frequent basis, it's going to be just as good seeing the resorts through their eyes as it is through yours. Hopefully these tips are helpful for you if you're going to do a site inspection. If you're not, and working with a travel professional to give you some tips for them to ask questions about the resorts. I'm Jack with Destination Wedding Geese. Feel free to subscribe right here. You can also hit the bell. We post videos once a week, usually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So we look forward to helping you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email me and leave comments in the comments section.